Time travel is something that has always been fascinating to humans. From ancient civilizations to modern day, people have pondered about the possibility of traveling through time. With the advent of new technologies and scientific discoveries, this dream seems more attainable than ever before. But what if we can time travel? What would happen next? Let's imagine a scenario where someone invents a time machine and successfully travels back in time. What would be the immediate impact of such an event? The first thing that would likely happen is a paradox. Time travel would create a paradox since it would violate the laws of physics as we understand them. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, cause and effect are fundamental to the universe. This means that every event has a cause that came before it and an effect that follows from it. If someone were to travel back in time and change something, it would create a contradiction with the chain of events that led up to that point. For example, let's say that someone travels back in time and kills the grandfather of a famous scientist. This would create a paradox because it would mean that the scientist never existed, yet at the same time he did. This is known as a grandfather paradox, and it has been the subject of many science fiction stories. It's important to note that paradoxes aren't necessarily bad things. In fact, they can be incredibly helpful. Take, for example, the EPR paradox, which helped scientists develop quantum mechanics. Paradoxes can help us better understand the world around us if we know how to look at them. So, when someone first time travels, it will create some sort of paradox. This could be big or small, but it will definitely have an impact on the timeline. The second thing that would likely happen is that the time traveler would be noticed. If someone were to travel back in time, it's likely that they would stand out among the people of that era. They may have mannerisms, clothing, or technology that is out of place and would quickly draw attention to themselves. For example, if someone were to travel back to the 19th century, they would likely stand out due to their modern clothing and technology. People wouldn't understand where they came from or why they have such advanced technology. Depending on the time period, they might even think that the time traveler is a wizard or a sorcerer. The time traveler would also likely be noticed because of their knowledge of future events. If they knew about major historical events that were yet to occur, people would find it hard to believe. They may even think that the time traveler is crazy or making it all up. If the time traveler were to reveal too much knowledge about the future, it could cause a lot of chaos and confusion. For example, if they were to tell people about major technological advancements that were yet to come, it could cause people to lose faith in the current technology. They might even think that the time traveler is trying to warn them about something. All of this attention and confusion could make it difficult for the time traveler to blend in and live a normal life. They would have to be very careful about what they say and do, or they could risk being exposed as an outsider. Another thing that would likely happen is that the time traveler would bring back artifacts from the future. This could include things like food, clothing, or even technology. For example, if someone traveled back in time to the 19th century, they might bring back futuristic clothing and technology. People in the past would be amazed by these items and would want to know where they came from. This could cause quite a stir and would likely attract the attention of scientists and historians. The time traveler might even be asked to sell or donate some of their items to museums. This could be a great way to learn more about the future and how technology is developing. However, there is a potential downside to bringing artifacts from the future to the past. It could potentially disrupt the timeline and cause major problems. For example, if someone were to bring back antibiotics from the future, it could potentially wipe out all the bacteria in the past. This could cause major problems for people in the past who relied on bacteria for things like digestion. It's important to remember that even small changes can have big consequences. Bringing even the smallest thing from the future to the past could potentially alter the timeline in big ways. Something else that would likely happen is that the time traveler would bring back diseases from the future. This could be a serious problem because the people in the past would not have any immunity to these diseases. For example, if someone were to travel back in time to the 19th century and bring with them a cold virus from the future, it could potentially wipe out millions of people. It's important to remember that diseases evolve over time. This means that the people in the past would not have any natural immunity to the diseases that are common today. Even a simple cold could be deadly for someone in the 19th century. The time traveler would have to be very careful to avoid bringing any diseases with them back in time. They should also take precautions to avoid spreading any diseases that they do bring back. The final thing that would likely happen is that the time traveler would try to change the past. This could be for any number of reasons. Maybe they want to prevent a tragedy, or maybe they want to become famous. Whatever the reason, the time traveler would have to be very careful when trying to change the past. Even small changes can have big consequences. If the time traveler were to change something big, like preventing an assassination, it could completely alter the timeline. It's important to remember that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. This means that for every action the time traveler takes in the past, there will be a reaction that changes the timeline. The time traveler would have to be very careful to avoid causing major changes to the timeline. Overall, if someone invented a time machine and traveled back in time, it would have major consequences. Time travel would create a paradox, disrupt the timeline, bring back diseases from the future, and change the past. While time travel is a fascinating concept, it's important to remember that it's just that, a concept. There's no evidence that time travel is possible, and there are many scientific theories that suggest it's not. However, that doesn't stop us from dreaming about what would happen if someone did invent a time machine and traveled back in time. Now, if you're still curious about time travel, here's something that might surprise you. Did you know that the world's first time machine was invented over 100 years ago? That's right. In 1904, a man named H.D. Thoreau built a machine that could travel through time. Well, kind of. His invention was actually a clock that could count backwards as well as forwards. He called it a time recorder. And while it wasn't able to actually travel through time, it was still a remarkable invention for its day. In fact, his time recorder was so advanced that it's still on display at the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C. If you're ever in the area, you should definitely check it out. Who knows, maybe you'll be able to see the future, or maybe the past. As we continue to learn more about the universe, we may one day discover that time travel is possible. But until then, we can be grateful for the amazing technology that we have now, like smartphones and computers. These devices have allowed us to connect with each other and access information like never before. However, it's important to remember that technology is not the only thing that makes us special. It's our curiosity, creativity, and determination to explore the unknown that truly sets us apart. So, keep learning, keep exploring, and who knows, maybe one day you'll be the one to invent a time machine. Thank you for watching. We hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to like and subscribe for more fun and educational content. And if you have a question or a comment, feel free to leave it below. We'd love to hear from you.